So this is part 2 of the video of lesson GAADHA KATTALU MATTU GUMMAGALU. So we had seen page 1 of this lesson in the previous video. Let us continue and let us go on to the next page. ಹಾಗಾಗಿಯೋ ಏನೋ ರಾತ್ರಿ 8 ಗಂಟೆಗೆಲ್ಲ ನಿದ್ದೆ ಬರುವ ಹಾಗಾಗುತ್ತಿತ್ತು. So in the previous video we had seen how the village, when it becomes night, how the darkness used to be there and how people were not coming outside since there was no light anywhere. So for that reason, because there was no street lights and there was no electricity, for that reason, maybe because of that, people used to go to sleep early during those days. So ratri 8 gantegella, by 8 o'clock, people felt sleepy. Maybe because of this reason that there was no light, there was no electricity, so there was no light and it was always filled with darkness everywhere. ವಿಜಿ ಮತ್ತು ಅವಳ ಅಜ್ಜಿ ಪ್ರತಿ ರಾತ್ರಿಯೂ ಮಲಗುತ್ತಿದ್ದದ್ದು ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ 9 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ. So Viji and her grandmother, Ajji's grandmother, ಪ್ರತಿ ರಾತ್ರಿ, every night they used to go to sleep exactly by 9 o'clock. ಇನ್ನೇನು ಗಡಿಯಾರ 9 ಹೊಡೆಯುವುದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅಜ್ಜಿಯ ಪಕ್ಕ ಹಾಸಿಗೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮಲಗಿ ಬಿಡುತ್ತಿದ್ದಳು. So when it is just about, the clock is just about going to be 9, then Viji will go and sleep next to her grandmother on the bed. ಇಲ್ಲವಾದರೆ ಅಜ್ಜಿಗೆ ಸಿಟ್ಟು ಬರುತ್ತಿತ್ತು. Even otherwise the grandmother would get angry if she doesn't sleep by night. ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ಕೂಡ ಅಷ್ಟೇ 6 ಗಂಟೆಗೆಲ್ಲ ಎದ್ದು ಬಿಡುತ್ತಿದ್ದರು. And similarly the next day morning by 6 everybody used to wake up. ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಹೊತ್ತು ಅವರ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರೂ ಮಲಗುತ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. So beyond 6 nobody used to sleep in her house. ಅಜ್ಜಿ ಹೇಳುತ್ತಿದ್ದರು, ಒಂದು ಸಲ ದಟ್ಟ ಕತ್ತಲಿನ ಅಮಾವಾಸ್ಯೆಯ ರಾತ್ರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಗುಮ್ಮ ಮನೆ ಎದುರು ತೆಂಗಿನ ಮರದಲ್ಲೇ ಕುಳಿತು ಕೂಗಲು ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿತಂತೆ. So now our grandmother is telling one incident that when there was pitch darkness, datta kattalu means pitch darkness, and amavasyaya ratri, so it was a no moon night. So it was pitch dark and it was a no moon night. She heard one gumma. Gumma is a owl. She heard a owl which was sitting on a tree, on a coconut tree to the opposite to their house, and it started to cry. ಆಗ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಿದ್ದು ಅಜ್ಜಿಯೊಬ್ಬರೇ, and the grandmother was alone at home during that time. ಈ ಗುಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಯ ಮೇಲೆಯೇ ಬಂದು ಕುಳಿತು ಕೂಗಿದರೆ ಎಂದು ಯೋಚಿಸಿ ಅಜ್ಜಿಗೆ ಭಯವಾಯಿತು. So this owl was sitting on the opposite side on a tree, but grandmother got worried and she got scared. What if this owl comes and sits right on top of our house? ಹಾಗೆ ಮನೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಗುಮ್ಮ ಬಂದು ಕುಳಿತರೆ ಅದು ಅಪಶಕುನ ಎಂಬುದು ನಂಬಿಕೆ. And during those days people had a belief, it was a superstitious belief, that if a owl would come and scream on top of their house or make a noise, then it is considered as a bad omen. ಆ ಗುಮ್ಮನನ್ನು ಓಡಿಸಿ ಬಿಡುವ ಎಂದರೆ ಆ ಕತ್ತಲಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಅಸಾಧ್ಯ. And if you want to chase that owl away from there, odisi bidu means chase, but it was impossible to do it in that darkness because it was so difficult to step out in darkness as you cannot see anything around there. ಕೊನೆಗೆ ಗಟ್ಟಿ ನಿರ್ಧಾರ ಮಾಡಿದರಂತೆ. Finally the grandmother, she made a decision. ಬೇಕಾದರೆ ಆ ಗುಮ್ಮ ಮನೆ ಮಾಡಿನ ಮೇಲೆ ಕುಳಿತು ಕೂಗಲಿ, ತಾನೇನು ಹೆದರುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅಪಶಕುನ ಮುಂತಾದವೆಲ್ಲ ಸುಳ್ಳು. ನಮ್ಮ ನಡೆನುಡಿ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿದ್ದರೆ, ಒಳ್ಳೆತನವಿದ್ದರೆ ಯಾವ ಕೆಟ್ಟದ್ದು ಘಟಿಸುವುದಿಲ್ಲ ಎಂದು ಧೈರ್ಯ ಮಾಡಿ ರಾತ್ರಿ ಕಳೆದರಂತೆ. So finally the grandmother, she made a decision that whatever happens, even if the owl comes and sits on top of their house, she is not going to get scared, she is not going to be afraid. And she also thought that this bad omen is all it's just superstitious belief, nothing like that is going to happen. If our behavior and our intentions are correct, then nothing bad is going to happen to us. Endu dhairya, she took this brave decision and spent the whole night. ಇದನ್ನು ಕೇಳಿದಾಗ ವಿಜಿಗೆ ಪಕ್ಕದ ತೋಟದಲ್ಲಿ ಗುಮ್ಮ ಕೂಗಿದರೆ ಇಷ್ಟು ಭಯಾನಕವಾಗಿ ಕೇಳಿಸುತ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಲಿಸ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಟು ದಿಸ್, ವಿಜಿ is thinking, grandmother said that the owl was sitting on the opposite side, sitting on a tree opposite to their house, but somewhere very far away in some farm, even if I hear owl shout, I get scared. ಇನ್ನು ಮನೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಕುಳಿತು ಕೂಗಿದರೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡುವುದಪ್ಪ ಎಂದು ಚಿಂತೆಯಾಯಿತು. So Viji is wondering, grandmother was afraid because it was sitting on the opposite side of the house. I am afraid, even if it is miles away, I am still afraid. What if it comes and sits on top of my house? I will be so scared. Like that she started to worry. ಅವಳಿಗೆ ತಡವಾಗಿ ತಿಳಿದ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸ್ವಾರಸ್ಯದ ವಿಷಯವೇನೆಂದರೆ, ಆಚೆ ಮನೆ ದೊಡ್ಡಮ್ಮನೆ ಕೆಲವೊಮ್ಮೆ ಗುಮ್ಮನಾಗುತ್ತಿದ್ದರು ಎಂಬುದು. And this she came to know about one more interesting information after a long time. It means after she had really grown into a big girl. What was that? What was that information that she came to know? That there was a relative who used to stay close by. Sometimes she herself would dress up like a ghost and come. ವಿಜಿ ಅತ್ತು ಹಠ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾಗೆಲ್ಲ ಆಚೆ ಮನೆ ದೊಡ್ಡಮ್ಮ ಅವರು ಮನೆಯಿಂದಲೇ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಹಠ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಗುಮ್ಮ ಬರುತ್ತದೆ ಈಗ ಎನ್ನುತ್ತಿದ್ದರು. So Viji remembers when she was a child, and if she would become very cranky and stubborn and start crying for something, she would hear this relative telling, if you go on like this, Gumma is going to come. And she used to tell this very loudly to all the children, whoever used to cry and make some mischief. ಅವರು ಹಾಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ ತುಸು ಹೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ಗುಮ್ಮಗಳು ಕೂಗುತ್ತಿದ್ದವು. And as soon as she tells, within some time, they will hear all the noises of the owls. ವಿಜಿ ಹೆದರಿಕೊಂಡು ಮುಸುಕು ಹಾಕಿ ಮಲಗಿ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ನಿದ್ದೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತಿದ್ದಳು. So as soon as she hears this, Viji would get scared. She would cover herself completely with a blanket and go to sleep there. ಕೆಲವೊಮ್ಮೆ ದೊಡ್ಡಮ್ಮನೆ ಗುಮ್ಮನ ಹಾಗೆ ಕೂಗುತ್ತಿದ್ದರು. And sometimes the relative would make noises like a owl itself. ಕೂಗುತ್ತಿದ್ದರು ಎಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ದೊಡ್ಡವಳಾದ ಮೇಲೆ ವಿಜಿಗೆ ಸತ್ಯ ತಿಳಿಯಿತು. And after she grew up and became a little older, then only she realized it was a relative who was doing this. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬೆಳೆದು ದೊಡ್ಡವಳಾಗಿ ಗುಮ್ಮನ ಹೆದರಿಕೆ ದೂರಾದ ನಂತರ ಕಗ್ಗತ್ತಲ ರಾತ್ರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲಿಗಾದರೂ ಹೋಗುವುದು ವಿಜಿಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟವಾಗತೊಡಗಿತು. So after she grew up a little more older, she became a little more older, then she also did not have fear about the owls anymore. After that, going out in the night was fun. She liked going out in the night. ಅಮ್ಮ, ದೊಡ್ಡಮ್ಮ, ವಿಜಿ, ತಂಗಿ, ನೀಲಿಮ ಕೆಲವೊಮ್ಮೆ ಯಕ್ಷಗಾನಗಳಿಗೆ ಹೋಗುವುದಿತ್ತು. So she, along with her mother, aunt, sister, friends, she used to go out in the night to watch yakshagana. Yakshagana is a folk art form, like a drama. ಅಕ್ಕಂದಿರು ಮನೆಗೆ ಬಂದಾಗಲೂ ಹೀಗೆ ರಾತ್ರಿ ಯಕ್ಷಗಾನಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತಿದ್ದರು. So if her sisters used to come home, then also they used to go to yakshagana. ಆಗಿನ ಖುಷಿ ವರ್ಣಿಸಲು ಅಸಾಧ್ಯ. It is impossible to describe the happiness that she felt when she used to go in the night to watch the yakshagana. ಆ ನೀರವ ರಾತ್ರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬ್ಯಾಟ್ರಿ ಹಿಡಿದು ಕಾಡುಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೆದು ಹೋಗುವಾಗ ಕಾಡಿನ ಗಾಳಿಯನ್ನು ಹೀರಿಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತಿದ್ದಳು ವಿಜಿ. So Meerava is silent. So in that silent night, when they used to walk through forests to go and watch the yakshagana, carrying the battery, that is the torch, and the cool breeze or the wind would come and touch her face, and Viji would like it. ಹಾಗೆ ಯಕ್ಷಗಾನಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗುವಾಗ ಅವತ್ತಿನ ಯಕ್ಷಗಾನ ಹೇಗಿರಬಹುದು ಎಂದು ಚರ್ಚೆಯಾದರೆ, ವಾಪಸ್ಸು ಬರುವಾಗ ನೋಡಿದ ಯಕ್ಷಗಾನದ ಕುರಿತು ವಿಮರ್ಶಗಳು, ಟೀಕೆ, ಟಿಪ್ಪಣಿಗಳು ಇರುತ್ತಿದ್ದವು. So on the way, while they were going to watch the Yakshagana, they would be discussing what would be the story today, how will people be acting today. So they will have some discussion like that. And on the way return, after they watch the Yakshagana and when they are returning back home, then they would assess. Vimarshegalu means they will give their opinions. They will, if it was good, they will say it was very good. If it was bad, they would criticize, or they would say this could have been better, that could have been better. They would again discuss about how that Yakshagana happened on that day. ಕಾಡು ಮತ್ತು ಕತ್ತಲು ವಿಜಿಯನ್ನು ಹೆದರಿಸಲಿಲ್ಲ. And now Viji was not afraid of the forest or the darkness anymore. ಅದೇ ವಾತಾವರಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಾಲ್ಯದಿಂದಲೂ ಬೆಳೆದಿದ್ದರಿಂದ ತೋಟದ ತನಕ ಕತ್ತಲಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ಬಳೇ ಬ್ಯಾಟ್ರಿ ಹಿಡಿದು ಹೋಗಿ ಬರುವ ಧೈರ್ಯ ಬೆಳೆಸಿಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಳು. And since she was there in that kind of an atmosphere from her childhood, so she would now go alone till the farm holding the torch and come back bravely. She was not scared anymore. 9ನೇ ತರಗತಿಗೆ ಬಂದಾಗ ಅವಳು ರಾತ್ರಿ ಒಬ್ಬಳೇ ಉಪ್ಪರಿಗೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮಲಗುತ್ತಿದ್ದಳು. And when she came to 9th grade, 9ನೇ is 9th grade. So when she became a student of 9th grade, then she would sleep alone. Until then she used to sleep with her grandmother in the grandmother's room. But after she was in 9th grade, she would begin to sleep alone, that too in the first floor of the house. ನಿದ್ದೆ ಬರುವವರೆಗೆ ಕತ್ತಲನ್ನು ದಿಟ್ಟಿಸುತ್ತಾ ಮಲಗುವುದು ಅವಳ ಅಭ್ಯಾಸವಾಗಿತ್ತು. So until she would get sleep, she would only keep watching the darkness. That became her practice for her. ಹೀಗೆ ಗಾಢ ಕತ್ತಲು, ರಾತ್ರಿ ಮತ್ತು ಮಳೆ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಅವಳಿಗೆ ಸದಾ ಇಷ್ಟವಾಗಿ ಹೋಯಿತು. So like this, pitch darkness, night and even rain, all this became favorite of hers. ಮಳೆಗಾಲದ ರಾತ್ರಿಗಳಂತೂ ವಿಜಿ ನಿಲಿಮಾಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಇಷ್ಟ. And the nights of rainy season, Viji and Nilima used to love it. ರಾತ್ರಿ ಮಲಗುವ ಹೊತ್ತಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರಿಬ್ಬರು ಜೋರಾಗಿ ಮಳೆ ಬರಲಿ ದೇವರೇ ಎಂದು ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥಿಸುತ್ತಿದ್ದರು. So when they were going to sleep in the night, they would pray God, let it rain, let there be a heavy rain now. ಏಕೆಂದರೆ ಜೋಗುಳದಂತೆ ಸುರಿಯುವ ಆ ಮಳೆಗೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಗಡದ್ದಾಗಿ ನಿದ್ದೆ ಬರುತ್ತಿತ್ತು. Why they wanted rain? Because the way the rain was pouring was like a lullaby for them, and because of that they would get a nice good sleep. ಅದು ಅಲ್ಲದೆ ಮಳೆಯ ಸದ್ದನ್ನು ಕೇಳಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತಾ ಮಲಗುವುದೇ ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಸಂಭ್ರಮವಾಗಿತ್ತು ಆ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ. And not only that, listening to the sound, saddu is sound, listening to the sound of the rain and the raindrops, that itself was like a great celebration for the children. So this is the story of Viji, of how she was first afraid of darkness, then how slowly she overcame the fear of darkness, and finally how she started to love and enjoy the darkness.